books are the books that I read this summer. I feel like I had a really great summer reading a bunch of different genres of books, lots of books that I really liked, lots of books that I didn't like. But the books I'm going to talk about today are all the books that I feel like are worth mentioning. Most of them good. I think literally 2 of them are not so great. But these are perfect books to read in the summer, whether they have to do with summer or they're set at a beach or whatever, or it just was a good book to read in the summer and it didn't have anything to do with summer, but it was just fun to read in the summer. We have a very true to summer read. This was One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is the follow-up book to her first book, Every Summer After. This is Charlie's story, who in Every Summer After you meet Sam and Percy, and Charlie is Sam's brother. I felt this was a great continuation of the first book, also getting Charlie's point of view, which I don't think anybody really wanted in the first place after reading Every Summer After, but this delivered times a million. This just has like the perfect summer vibes in it. This book is set on a lake, so you get like lake vibes. I feel like this would be perfect to read on a beach or at the lake, some body of water. But I just loved the romance in this, and I just thought it was so fun and cute, and I think I gave this 5 stars. So this would be a great summer read for next year, or if you're still reading summer books right now, definitely read this before the end of the year. This book, I think I read in April, but at least for me, I was feeling summer vibes, so I'm considering it summer, and I do think this would be a great summer read. And that was The Bright Years by Sarah Demoff. I feel like I'm still struggling to put into words what this book means to me. You get 3 points of views from the parents and their daughter. There's heavy topics of alcoholism and losing a loved one and family dynamics, and really this book kind of had everything, but truly it was the way it was written. I think specifically why this book would be a good book in the summer is kind of that it didn't really have much to do with summer things. So I feel like if you wanted to take a break from your beachy reads or your summer, like whatever, your summer books, this would be a great one because it's just a great book in general. Personal opinion. Okay, then 2 other books that I read that I don't have with me. I read them on Kindle Unlimited. The first 2 books in the Summer I Turned Pretty series. I read the first book because I'm late to the whole Summer I Turned Pretty watching the show and everything. I hadn't watched the first season of the show, so I wanted to read the first book. And I found that it was, and for me, I feel like it was very juvenile and kind of silly sometimes, but I felt like I had to keep going. So then I read the second book and kind of the same thing. I feel like nothing really happened in the second book besides like the big thing. But other than that, I don't know. But all that to say, I didn't end up reading the third book because I just wasn't really interested, and I was kind of enjoying the show a little bit more than the books. So with the first 2 books, I think I gave the first book a 3 stars and the second book maybe a 2, because again, I feel like nothing really happened in the second book. But I feel like it's worth mentioning in this video because maybe you haven't read The Summer I Turned Pretty yet, or you're watching the show and you like the show. I feel like give it a try. Maybe just because it wasn't for me, it could be for you. But YA is very hard for me to read because I feel like I'm not a teenager anymore. So basically whenever teenagers are trying to figure things out, I'm like, it's gonna be okay. I don't know. I still think just because I didn't like it, maybe you would. It definitely has summer vibes, so maybe just check it out, but wasn't for me. Maybe it's for you. Switching things up a bit, I feel like I've only mentioned romances. Let's talk about a thriller. I read The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers, and I think I gave this one maybe a 3.5 or a solid 4 stars. Now, the reason I feel like this is a summer read, I honestly think it's just because it came out in the summer. Maybe if you, again, are reading a bunch of beach reads and summer books, this would be a great one to throw into the mix just to mix things up a little bit. I'm not in with the whole crime junkie, true crime podcast. I don't listen to those. I didn't know that Ashley Flowers is the crime junkie co-host. I really don't even know what I'm saying. I feel like I could feel her trying to find her footing with writing while she was putting this book together. But overall, I think it was good for what it was, just a quick mystery. And I think this is less than 300 pages. It's very quick. So maybe this is just a quick summer read for you, maybe a palate cleanser. I hate calling books that, but it also feels like that's kind of what it was. But I think for a quick summer read and thriller mystery book, this would be great for you. Switching things up again, another literary fiction, more so romance. I read The Summer We Ran. I'm hoping these books are in frame. I'm so sorry if they're not. The Summer We Ran by Audrey Ingram. This book I just loved. Tess and Grant, who are running for governor of Virginia against each other, but everybody doesn't know that they had a summer romance 1 year back when they were younger. I really liked this. I loved the dual timelines, the past and present, the way that the story went, the intricacies of why they didn't end up together, and then how the story ended. This isn't like a light, fluffy summer beach read. This is gonna be a little bit heavier. I would add this if you're looking for something a little more serious, something a little more fun. I read You with a View by Jessica Joyce. I really enjoyed this as well. This is about a girl who has to team up with her high school nemesis. They go on a road trip to find out why her grandmother and his grandpa called off the engagement. It's really not that intricate of a story. I don't know why I can't verbalize what the story is about, but I loved the road trip aspect. I loved the mystery element of finding out why their grandparents called off the engagement, and then you obviously see chemistry that starts to build. Kind of predictable, but at the same time, just cute. It's perfect for a summer read. Another summer read that I feel like is not set necessarily during summer, but is just a good book to read in the summer anyway. Talking at Night by Claire Daverly. Now, I didn't read Normal People, but people say that if you liked Normal People, then you would like this. This is a story about Will and Rosie who want to be together, but then something happens to where they can't be together, or at least they feel like they can't be together. I feel like this one was kind of slow, but the overall story was worth it. And I feel like recommending it for summer. It's just one of those like slow burn romances of like, you know, they want to be together and then they're with other people and kind of that whole recipe. Also, I feel like the cover is kind of giving summer, or at least like late spring. That's maybe a personal thing. And lastly, we have, I wouldn't say this was my favorite summer read, but I read it while I was in Charleston at the beach, and I feel like it was just giving all the beach vibes, and this definitely is a beachy summer read. And that was Friends to Lovers by Sally Blakely. You're basically following two friends who go with each other as wedding dates every year, but then something happens to where they don't talk anymore. I will say it is kind of in the same vein as People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. So if you liked that, I'm very positive you would like this as well. I just feel like the writing in this book was so simple but different, and the way that she was describing things, like when she would write about when two people were conversing, she would talk about like what was going on in the background, or like what they were doing while they were talking. So I feel like I could really visualize this conversation taking place. It was something like as he was unlacing his shoes, you could hear the laces like hitting the ground, or when he was talking and his head was on his pillow and he would adjust, like she was describing the sound that made. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm right there. And I think I gave that book a solid 4 stars. Just a great beach read. And also the cover, it just looks like you would read that on the beach. Those are all the books that I read this summer that I feel like are worth mentioning. But I also just wanted to recommend books that you aren't going to be seeing in other summer reading recommendations or summer reading wrap-ups. So hopefully these are a little bit different than what you are going to be seeing. But I would say overall, it was a great summer of reading. I am very excited for fall and the fall reading that I will be doing. Thank you for watching. I hope you at least got some book recommendations for the end of summer, or maybe next year for summer. Maybe you even want to read them in the fall. You do what you want to do. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.